Hello everyone, today again we're going to be talking about Apache Iceberg, but this time it's going to be different. I'm going to be covering the things of why most of the companies have migrated on towards that, but considering its own issues that Apache Iceberg also considers how OLake is solving all of them out, and why OLake is providing Apache Iceberg in one of its exclusive offerings when there are other alternatives in the market. We're going to be covering the things from the data elimination stack of why Apache Iceberg uses a six-level data elimination stack. Then we're going to dive deep into partitioning and then about Z ordering. That's one of the things I'm also much looking forward to talk about. And at the same time, we're going to be talking about how these all things connect and how OLake improvises all of these issues with Apache Iceberg and with other traditional formats and provides the users a good throughput of around 46,000 rows per second. So, as we have come to the numbers, let me tell you a brief on that. If you are going ahead with a traditional format, the amount of data that gets ingested is not able to compete with the amount of data you are querying it, right? So that's one of the reasons why Apache Iceberg is emerging as a good thing in the line. Traditional format, so you can go ahead and achieve the amount of data or to query at the same time to ingest into the traditional formats, average it around at 10x or less than even 50x times less as compared to Apache Iceberg. And with these traditional formats, we have seen companies that they have migrated, firstly being Netflix, and also saved a lot amount of money on that. So as we have come to the numbers, Netflix has achieved 10% amount of cost cuts as compared to its earlier formats. It has optimized Apache Iceberg as it was the one it started off with. At the same time, it optimized all those queries and it was able to go ahead and get a cost cutting of 10%. For a big company like Netflix, it is a lot of numbers. And then we have Airbnb that has also went ahead and adopted Apache Iceberg and have seen a 50% cost cuttings. These are all the numbers that have been provided by these companies and have created a good amount of workshops on that or how they have done that. So that's going to be discussed in the later video. But firstly, let's dive into the data elimination. About the six-level data elimination stack in Iceberg, I'm going to go ahead and fetch out with an example. Consider you are a principal of a college, right? And you want to go ahead and get the attendance of a student that has a row number, for example, 150, and you want to go ahead and fetch it out and provides it to the people that want to run some analysis on it, right? So what you're going to do is you want to go ahead and fetch the data, and if you're going ahead with traditional format, for example, if you want to go ahead and do it with Apache Hive, well, good luck on that because it's going to take you around 10x more times as it has its own map reduce jobs. But a brief on that later. So firstly is partition pruning. First, consider you have your own data, right? And it's spread across different years, it's spread across for different days and different dates. So how are you going to do that? You need to have your data partitioned across different files, right? So for example, for the year of 2023 it's going to be different, for 2024 it's going to be different, and same going to be 2025. But if you want to go ahead and fetch it, for example, 2024 January 15, how are you going to do that? Well, you're going to be going ahead and Apache Iceberg partitions it across different partitions, and it eliminates the ones that it doesn't require. So here what it does is it skips the date that are not lying in that particular range, skips all of them out, and then reads only the one that are required. For example, of the 15th, it read only of that and skipped all of those other directories that were not required of different years, of different dates, and whatever. It took care all of that, right? So the data got eliminated. And the second is the file elimination. So further targeting the other granular level of things, right? If you have thousands of roll numbers, right, and you eliminated the partition, for example, for years, now you want to go ahead and target the next level out, that is for the file ranges. And different file ranges have their different range of the roll numbers they're targeting. It can be 1 to 1000, then the next 1000, then the next 1000. How are you going to be fetching for the roll number 150? That's by the file elimination technique. What it does is it's gonna go ahead and fetch the data, look for it in this particular range. If it finds it, it will go ahead and only look forward the next data elimination in that particular file. Not gonna go ahead and do it for the next files, but only do and eliminate the ones that are not required, right? So for that, the data got shortened down. And then we have the row group elimination. Well, what it is basically, consider you have your own different row groups in a particular file, right? With another granular level, you have, for example, it ranges from 1 to 100 and then the next 100. You firstly targeted the files out pretty good on that, and then comes the row group elimination that's provided by Apache Iceberg. It's going to do for the other 100 and then for the other 100, and while it's doing that, it's going to target and find that 150 user ID. And once it does that, it's going to target the other further level of data elimination from it. So right now now we have targeted the half of the level of things. So just gonna give you a brief on that. There are other table formats that also do it. For example, there might be Apache Hudi that does it. It can be Apache Delta. It can be Delta Lake that does it. But at the same time, Apache Iceberg does it better because at the same time it's not that compute intensive and it provides you data at a much faster rate. And so yeah, moving on forward to column animation. For example, if you want to go ahead and grab the attendance only of that person, right, and you want to go ahead and fetch, for example, its marks or what its different details are stored in your database for that particular user ID, you want to only get the attendance out of it. You will not go ahead and ask your particular database to go ahead and provide you the data for all other columns, right? You only look forward for that particular column. So that's where it's gonna work around. It's gonna eliminate all other columns, fetch that particular column attendance, and then only look forward in that particular range. So right now you have even granular data towards a column level range. And then it's the page elimination. That's the another level of going ahead and eliminating the data. That's going to go ahead and skip all of those texts that are not lying in that particular range and within those column chunks that you have created. And once the page elimination is done, then comes the filtering. Till the level 5 we have the simple data elimination technique, and then the level 6 that doesn't deal with simple your data elimination, because so far your data has been eliminated. You have got the right column, you have got the right row, you have got the right file where you want to look forward for it. There you're going to be going ahead and only filtering your data by the row filtering technique. It's going to provide you it. Simple as that. That's the sixth level. So this is as stated, this step is filtering and it's not elimination. So this is going to provide you the data, and right now a lot of amount of processing has been saved, and you have saved your company's resources, you have saved your company's time, and you have saved your company's money. So this is how it achieves the sixth level data elimination technique. And right now we're going to be going ahead and moving on towards the next thing that is related to partitioning, and here we're going to be judging it with Apache Hive. So we have the article by OLake, we have delved into this particular difference, right? So Apache Hive is one of the offerings that provides with the partitioning. Apache Hive, like Iceberg does, but at the same time, why the people have not considered Apache Hive, or why even OLake hasn't considered Apache Hive as one of the offerings to go ahead and migrate your data to? Well, it's the reason being the challenges. Firstly, being the manual management of the things. So what it does is right now Apache Iceberg does it automatically. You have your data ingested, it's going to take care of your partition, how much the data has to be divided in different partition. It takes care of that. You don't have to do it manually, you don't have to apply any conditions. It takes care of it without any usage. But Apache Iceberg we can be considered, can be a good pro, right? You can provide any condition to it and partition data depending on your needs. But let me tell you, if you are in a company Netflix and you are managing thousands of files that are getting created, and you want to provide it to your users at a much faster rate, and here your Apache Hive is going ahead and asking you to manually partition them, it's not how you're going to be approaching the things, right? So that's where it went in the downhill of things. And then was the inflexibility. Well, consider you have your own database, and then it's going to be going ahead and changing with the various queries. And for example, if you, as I stated, you have for example, user ID of 150, you want to add another column of marks into that, and once you have done it, now the schema has been changed. Apache Hive is not able to manage it pretty good, and at the same time Apache Iceberg does it better. So the inflexibility of how to manage those various queries is something that went down the high line with Apache Hive. And then is the query performance bottlenecks. Well, this is something I can tell you pretty good type, right? So previous video, I've already told you that Apache Hive works with MapReduce jobs. What are MapReduce jobs? You want to convert your particular SQL query that you have typed, it's gonna have to be queried for Apache Hive. But Apache Hive doesn't deal with your traditional format that you are typing in, like select star and stuff like that. It doesn't take care of it. How it does take care of it? It is with MapReduce jobs. So that's where this another engine has to be present before it's gonna query your particular database. That's gonna create much more query time, at the same time creates more latency, and that's how another things have been progressed on with Apache Hive. So that's where the people went ahead, migrated on towards Apache Hive, and this has been the approach and the problems with the traditional format. And also with more and more companies going ahead and wanting data at a much faster rate for analysis, and at the same time going ahead and querying thousands of rows. This is where OLake also solves it as one of the issues, right? Apache Iceberg works along in that particular roof, and at the same time all of those compaction techniques are being taken care of. For example, example, if different partitions are being created, how to get the data much faster. It's by compaction. It does it pretty good, and at the same time it helps you to query your data at a much faster rate. So it takes care of all of that, and your partition is not much affected if you go ahead and approach with even Apache Iceberg, because you need to have a good engine that's taking care of your data being ingested. For example, from Kafka, right? It's getting ingested, and once it is getting ingested, it's not being provided to you at a much faster rate, because the level of connector that's being provided by OLake doesn't exist. So that's where it takes care of it.